Thanks. Alrighty, so just to start off, all of you probably know this, but I know there are some people here that have not completed the renewal process for their student org. So this is a good refresher for you all when you go into that renewal process, which needs to be done no later than Monday at 5 p.m. First and foremost, active organizations. To be an active organization on campus, you're required to have a president and a treasurer, a faculty and staff advisor that's at least 0.75 FTE, which if you ask the person you would like to be your advisor that question, or who is your advisor that question, they know what that means. It's really just like upper admin jargon that we say for how many hours someone works on campus. And then you have to have at least 10 members on your roster and an updated constitution and bylaws. So that's a good reminder. I'm sure those of you that renewed your org, you just went into your organization documents on MyEngage and downloaded the last constitution and bylaws that were there. If you didn't already have them in a Google Drive or on your computer, you probably just uploaded the same document. This is a good reminder for you all that those are supposed to be kind of an updated thing if there's been changes that have happened in your organization or with campus policies, depending on what you all included in there. And so maybe once you have kind of your semester aligned and figured out and you have your officers in their roles and transitioned well, it might be a good thing to think through and read through your constitution and bylaws and figure out, is there things we need to update? Do we want to change the language around gender? Is there super gender terms in here that we might want to update? Or is there just like old campus rules that don't apply anymore? All that kind of stuff. Make sure that those are all updated. Up next, to maintain recognition. So everyone here has already got the first one down. So the president and treasurer need to attend SOL or send someone in their place. So thank you for those of you that are standing in place of that person. New this year is our Wise Up Wednesday. Well, it started last spring. There wasn't a lot of engagement, but this year it's now a required thing. We have Wise Up Wednesdays, which are just going to be kind of like continuing education opportunities. So basically, they're going to be like miniature SOL. So the sessions that you'll have this afternoon will be very similar to that. And it will just be an hour long every other Wednesday, about every other Wednesday. Some of them get messed up because of breaks and stuff like that. And there needs to be representation from your organization at least 3 of those each semester. So in order to maintain recognition as a student organization, you will have to have a member or an officer of your, preferably officer of your organization, attend at least 3 of those each semester. And so obviously your whole organization should show up. We would love that. We would love to gain all of that knowledge in our community, but we understand that people are busy and class schedules are conflicting and stuff like that. So it's not, the whole org does not have to be there. We will be having them differing times on Wednesdays, so that if you have Wednesday class, I'm not going to have it every single Wednesday at 11 o'clock. And you're like, well, Michaela, I can't come to any of them. I have class at 11 o'clock. We'll kind of switch it up and figure out what times work best. I'm going to send out a little follow-up email to this training today. Well, I'm not sending the email today, but the training from today. And in that email, there will be a question that asks, if you do have Wednesday classes, what time are they at? So that I can make sure that I'm scheduling around when you all have classes. And then lastly, to maintain recognition, keeping your organization's MyEngage portal up to date. Some of you may be like, Michaela, I have tried to do that and I do not know what I'm doing in there. Well, that's okay. That's why we're at SOL. And that's why in a little bit, I will be talking to you about MyEngage. So don't fret too much about the MyEngage thing. We'll be going over that in a little bit. But it is important those are up to date because, for instance, when new students are coming on campus and going through orientation, we direct them all to MyEngage. So we say, you can find all of the organizations you want to be a part of on MyEngage. You can find some super cool campus events we have on MyEngage. And so if they're going to MyEngage and they see a random org that they want to be a part of, and then they go to your portal and your officers aren't updated, so they can't contact you, and you don't have your events on there, so they have no idea what you do on campus, it's hard for those new students to get involved in your organizations. And the last thing we want is for students to not want to be a part of your organizations. So it's very helpful for us to have these portals up to date so students can access them, new and old students or returning students. So this is the Wise Up Wednesday schedule. If you want to take a picture of it, feel free. I will also send this image out in the follow-up email, as well as it will be posted on our social media when the first one on September 15th is coming closer. Excuse me. And so again, with the My Engage thing, you'll see the first session of Wise Up Wednesday is setting up your My Engage portal for success. So if we get through morning training at Soul and you're like, man, I still really don't know what I'm doing at this My Engage portal, this will be a time where you can come in, or if you aren't able to be there, one of your other officers can come in and say, Michaela, what the heck? How do I do this one thing? I really want my Engage portal to have this, and it's just not working out for me. How can I do it? And we can kind of walk through that for the group. So I'm sure that if one of you has a question about something on My Engage, probably a lot of people have that question about My Engage. And so it'll be a good opportunity for us to kind of learn together as a community and get My Engage kind of buzzing for the school year. And then in October, we'll have time hacks for the involved student. If any of you attended Soul last year, that was one of the afternoon sessions that we had hosted by me. So you might hear some of the same material, but I'm going to update it a little bit and get it more refreshed for non-COVID times, because I gave that presentation in COVID. So yeah, that's how we're going to start off. And then we're going to get a little bit more deep into like organizational leadership. So when we're thinking towards elections and what that looks like if we elect people to be new officers in the end of the fall semester, that will be a good way to kind of assess what are we doing as leaders in our organization now, what leadership changes could impact our organization for the benefit of it, stuff like that. And then following that up, we'll do goal planning for the longevity of your organization. So again, looking forward to if you're changing officers or you just kind of want a fresh start in the spring. If the fall was a little bumpy, then right at the beginning of November, we'll talk about how to plan for things that may not be in your control in the future, but things that you'd like to see for your organization, and how you can kind of create action steps to help new officers or returning officers kind of fulfill those things that you all come up with as goals for your organization. Towards the end of November, we'll have checking in on your friends and members. That'll be right before fall break. So we all kind of know there's a little slump towards the middle of each semester where we're all like, man, we just got to get to break. We can make it to break. So we'll have just kind of a little session about how as leaders we can check in on ourselves as well as checking in on our members and our friends, and kind of what that looks like in our leadership roles while still maintaining our own mental well-being. And then December, Lost in Transition, is a session that if some of you have been to Soul in years past, you may have seen, but it's just kind of our office's way of walking you all through a transition process if you are switching officers. So for those of you that are switching officers at the end of the fall, I would definitely put December 1st on your calendar as a Wise Up Wednesday that you're going to attend, just because it will be very helpful. I'm sure most of you transitioned into your current roles with not a lot of help, not a lot of information. And so this would be a good chance for you to prepare the person after you better than you were prepared yourself. Oh my goodness, something in my throat. Okay, I mentioned COVID. We're all tired of it, but it still is happening. So just some updates refreshed for this year that have been going on based on the new things that have come up with COVID. First and foremost, the face covering policies, I'm sure all of you are aware, effective July 26th, we now require masks on campus, inside of buildings. So this screenshot I just took straight from the Stay Safe, Stay Smart website that UMSL has. And if you go to umsl.edu, it's literally one of like the first things you'll see is that website, which will be very helpful for you. If you have questions regarding an event you want to plan, what does that look like with kind of the mask mandate and COVID restrictions? What does that look like? That will be your place to go. You obviously can ask questions and we will help guide you through that. But also if you ask me a question, I'm gonna go straight to this website and figure out what Chris Sullivan put on this website for me to read and tell you all. So definitely make sure you're checking out that portion of the UMSL website, as it will be very helpful to you. And then the next part of that website that's very important is, as student organization leaders, it has been asked of you that you report to UMSL if one of your members has said that they're having symptoms or has been diagnosed with COVID-19. This will help with contact tracing on campus because all of you have a lot more insight into your members' lives than we do as working on the campus. I've only seen you maybe once a week, once a semester. stuff like that. And so to do that, you'll go to it's start safe, stay safe. That's the right word. Sorry, everyone. That's what the website's called. If you go to the start safe, stay safe page, right here, there's these little buttons. The top one says report COVID-19 diagnosis/symptoms. And then it will take you to this 4-question report. So don't think like, oh man, my member told me they have COVID. Now I have to do all this stuff. It's literally just 4 questions. Your first and last name, what your affiliation is to UMSL, what your email address is, and then ask if you yourself have had symptoms. Then you put yes or no, and then they're going to contact you and say, what's going on? What's the situation? And then you can explain it further there. So make sure that you are doing this. If anyone has said that they have COVID in your organization or is experiencing symptoms, it's just very helpful for our campus to be able to check in on our students and make sure that everyone is staying safe, because the last thing that we want is to spread COVID on campus. An event reminder, this isn't a required thing for you all to put in your events, but for the Office of Student Involvement and any campus event that's been going on, we're required to have this phrasing and warning in all of our events. And so these are just good reminders for you all as you're thinking about planning events, that faculty, staff, students, and visitors age 5 and older are required to wear a face mask when entering or occupying university facilities, regardless of vaccination status. Wearing a face mask outdoors, especially in group settings, continues to be strongly encouraged. While face masks may be removed while consuming food or beverage, individuals are encouraged to maintain a safe social distance while doing so if space allows. And then lastly, an inherent risk of exposure to COVID-19 exists in any public space where people are present. We cannot guarantee that you will not be exposed during events or activities hosted at the University of Missouri St. Louis campus. So obviously, like I said at the beginning, we're not requiring you all to put this on your events on MyEngage when you add them. But it is a nice little reminder for people that are looking at your event and wanting more details about it, that those are the campus policies and that those will be the things that people at your event will be held to by other campus individuals. For SABC, regarding COVID, you all should have got this update in the last student org newsletter I sent out. Student activities budget committee fees student activity budget committee will not be approving funding requests for events that are hosted off campus for the full duration of the fall semester. And so that's just because as the pandemic continues, our goal is to protect the health and well-being of our students. And so in an effort to do that, we are not encouraging off-campus, like, what is the word I'm looking for? Like to be hosting events off campus, just because on campus, we know what rules and expectations we have of our students and our faculty and staff and visitors to our campus. So we can kind of control that people are wearing masks when they're indoors, and that masking has been encouraged when you're outside, that's kind of the norm. Whereas if it's off campus, we can't really confirm that that's been happening or anything like that. And so that kind of adds to the danger of spreading COVID that already exists in our current times. And so this decision will be because of this decision, things will be monitored in the situation. Because of the situation, we might update that in the spring semester, but as of right now, for the fall semester, we will not be approving funding for off-campus events. And then up next, catering update. There's a lot of language around this on the event services website if you want to learn more about it. I kind of just took the piece that I thought was most important for you all. So there's been modifications to campus catering, both operational and they've altered their menu. So if there's something that you've always ordered for your certain event, you might want to check now on their website to make sure that it's still there, because it might not be due to some changes that they've had. The things I highlighted in red are kind of the things I thought impacted student orgs the most. So only bottled beverages are available. So at our events in the past, we've had a big thing of water that you could just open and fill your water bottle, fill a cup, whatever you want. That's no longer available. It would only be bottled water or bottled sodas, whichever. And then traditional buffets are currently prohibited. So that includes things you wouldn't think of. So if you order pizza from Sodexo, that probably wouldn't, it's not going to show up in a big box and everyone could just take their own slice of pizza. If Sodexo is able to do pizza, you would get it in individualized containers however many pieces per person you had ordered, that's how many pieces each person would get. And there wouldn't be, like, you can't just like pick up your own food out of a big container of food is essentially what that means about buffets. And then I'm sure you've already seen this on campus a little bit. There's only disposable plates, napkins, and utensils available. That includes in the NOSH. So the giant things of silverware that they used to have that you could just grab your own silverware at are no longer there. You have to ask for silverware, I'm pretty sure, and it's packaged like you would get at like a to-go ordering station. Was there any questions in the Q&A thus far about COVID stuff, Mindy or JMO?
No questions.
Perfect. All right. So when I'm talking about catering, you all are probably like, Michaela, I want catering. How do I get catering? So I put a step-by-step process on here. So you'll first go and want to look at the menu that I talked about. So see kind of what you're thinking for your event, what makes sense, what kind of cost is that going to have. And then if you find what you want on that menu, you can go ahead and make an SABC request for funding for that, depending on what your event, what event you're providing food for. You can find out more about the SABC requirements of getting funding in the afternoon sessions. So if you're going to get SABC funding, you would request SABC funding based on the prices you saw on the website. Now, if there wasn't something on the website that you liked, or you didn't want it, or you didn't find what you're looking for, Sodexo is usually willing to kind of make do with what you want and figure out how they can do it for you. So if that's the case and you didn't find what you wanted, you're going to go straight to step 3 and you're going to email Sherry and ask her kind of, can you all do this? How much would it cost, etc. Once you get the cost from her, then you would go and request SABC funding. And so then once the SABC funding is approved, then you can email Sherry and tell her, like, we got it figured out. Can we finalize our order? We have funding. And then once you tell Sherry that, she will then email me requesting me to approve the payment of that. And on my side of things, I'll verify that you have SABC funding allotted and that our office approves of that purchase. And then I'll send the information to Sherry so she can get that paid for you. I know that some of you have had some questions already about catering and something called a MO code. And that's what Sherry has to email me for. So if you're making a student organization catering request and you have SABC funding for it, and Sherry says, oh, I need your MO code, and she doesn't automatically say something about that she's going to email me, just say, oh, I think Michaela has that for us, because I can't give you all your MO code, but I can give Sherry your MO code to pay for your catering. So that's how that works. Wow, you guys have no questions already? Okay. Up next, I'm a little early, but Joe's here, so hopefully he's not too mad that I made him go early, but we have Joe, the SGA president, here to give some updates about SGA.
Yeah, thank you, Michaela. And for some reason, I'm not able to have my video, but that's okay. I just have a few updates about student government and our meetings this semester and this year. So for those that don't know me, I'm Joe Metner. Like Michaela said, I'm the SGA president. So I wanted to let you all know that our first meeting will be September 10th. So it'll be at 12:30, and right now we're planning on having that in the SGA chamber. We'll be sending an email out within the next week or so with all that information about it. So if you didn't write that down right now, that's okay. We will be sending an email out, but I wanted to put that on everybody's calendar. And then, so next I want to talk about the way these meetings will work this year. So as many of you know, we passed a new constitution. We passed it in our assembly meetings last year, and then it passed the student-wide vote. So with that new constitution, these meetings are no longer required for funding purposes for you all. So it is not a requirement to be at these meetings. However, voting will be happening at these meetings and such. So we strongly encourage you to still come. There's still going to be a lot of important information being talked about and voted on in these meetings. So we would encourage every organization to still have a representative there, but there just won't be any penalties or anything if you decide not to, or if you just can't make a meeting. So then, then nextly, we'll also be providing this year more written reviews and talking about what happened at these meetings. So that way, if you don't make it or decide you don't want to come to these, You'll still have a way to access everything that was talked about at these meetings. So we'll be providing minutes on our MindGauge page, as well as just having like a little review in one of the newsletter emails that go out. Just talking about what was talked about, if anything was voted on and stuff like that. So I see a couple questions in the Q&A. So the first date and time is September 10th at 12:30. So then lastly, the last thing I have is we'll be having a special election at the beginning of October. So we have a lot of Senate positions to fill. We currently only have a couple taken up. So if you or anybody you know in your organizations are interested, have them reach out to me. I can talk them through the process there, but we are looking for a lot more senators. So I encourage any of you to run if you are interested, or if you know people in your organizations, and help us spread the word about that. So those are the quick updates that I have. Are there any other questions for me then?
Joe, looking at the question box, I'm actually typing a response to this, but someone asked, how will students be informed of SGA meetings before they occur, and will they be sent the Zoom links?
Yeah, so we'll be emailing before they occur, so that way they know. They'll also, I'm going on the MindGauge page this week to make sure they're all listed. We just selected the date, so I'll make sure they're all listed on the MindGauge page for SGA, so you can just see them there. So this year this first meeting we're trying for in person. We're working on a way. We're going to try to see if we can try to do some type of hybrid, so people can still, if they're not able to make it, still be able to view it. So when we figure that out, that link for that would also be added in those emails and on the MindGauge page for people to make it. And then I see another question about who to email. I can type my email in here.
Joe, is anyone currently checking the SGA at umsl.edu email address?
So we currently don't have access to it. I haven't been able to get into it.
Okay.
ALP might be able to.
Or maybe your advisor. Me, AKA, I need to do that.
Yeah.
And then also just a little tidbit for you all. If you join the Student Government Association portal in MindGauge, it just kind of puts you kind of on the contact list. So I know even before I was involved with SGA, I added myself to the portal, and it was nice because I would get the reminders about meetings and things that get sent out through that portal. So that's a good way to be in the know, even if you're not able to attend. So Joe, you have a couple more questions in there.
Yeah.
Are you able to see those?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I see one, somebody asked, how can I advocate on behalf of my organization in the Senate? So that's a really good question. So there's a couple different ways you can do that. One is just inquiring about information, being active, being engaged, asking questions, being able to just kind of know what's going on and just staying up to date. But you can pass, you can propose different, if you want to propose some written out documents that we could vote on in the Senate meeting. If there's an issue on campus you'd like to see resolved, we can write out a resolution, a statement, stuff like that. So you can kind of work on those and talk about those in those meetings as well. If there's an issue or something you want to advocate for, that is a good way to do that. And then I see another one asking, how do I run for Senate? So we will, when we get this, when we get everything situated with this special election, we'll have a page open on our MindGauge where you'll be able to file. So you'll be able to file all the information you're needed. So you'll be in the election. So that will be open within the next couple of weeks, and we'll be sure to advertise that as much as we can. And then I see how often does Senate meet. So with the new Constitution, we'll be able to meet kind of however much we want. We usually meet once a week. That could be once every 2 weeks this semester. We're starting out, we're going to be meeting once a week. but we might kind of push that back if it's not as necessary, if we only need to meet once every 2 weeks. But it'll be based on kind of senators' availability and what they're able to do.
I think currently right now those are scheduled for